What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily podcast powered by Anishar and Levine Accident Attorneys. My favorite day of the week. It's Wednesday. So, we got to bring on my arms are disappearing on this green screen. So you're not able to see the typical flex or my man mimicking it in the background. But let's bring him in, the one and only Mike Ryan. How we doing?
We're doing all right, the money. It's a big-time game. College game day is here. It seems as though a lot of people are upset about the fact that college game day is here. We can dissect that because I think that they do have a point, because one of the teams featured in this game hasn't exactly held up their end of the bargain, but I am jacked up for the rival that I hate most.
I agree with you. My most hated team, but my most beloved producer. We're going to hop him in. Pete, let's get in here. Whoa. How we doing?
What up, Pete?
What's going on?
He's been working the phones, the top college basketball insider on CanesInSight, doing national shows, interviewing people with the program. The basketball, you're locked in.
Yeah, I was over in the facility this morning interviewing the director of sports performance, Zach Zillner, who's strength and conditioning coach, amongst other things. Got some good scoop. We'll be posting that interview in the coming days on CanesInSight. But yeah, man, of course, excited about this weekend against the Gators.
Gators, Canes, fierce rivalry, almost up there with DJ volume versus the fan base in terms of like intense rivalries going on right now around the Miami Hurricanes. I don't know how much you guys have talked about that. DJ volume has essentially clapped back on social media. Now, I did give credit where it was due. I suggested that maybe he was aided by some of the hip-hop artists that were in the crowd. And then since then, I have to be honest, I haven't really noticed the DJ, which I can't tell if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But one thing that I will say is we all need to get in line and need to put up an A-plus effort, because this is a big game, and it's a potential trap game for the University of Miami.
I love calling the Gators a trap game. It's true. If we win this game, this whole setup is the best setup ever. If we lose, it's a disaster. So I'm being very cautious. I love the fact that this is all an infomercial for you.
Your mic.
What happened? Oh, I got the robot mic. I'm on the Yeti. You can't hear me?
I don't know. Maybe you weren't talking. Sounds better there.
Okay, so I'll tell you what happened. I was self-conscious. I did the show with the ACC network. I had the mic up like this, right? Which I thought I YouTubed it, and they told me it was the way to do it. But then people are complaining because they can't see the kisser. They can't see the jawline with the mic covering half the screen. So I was trying to position it different.
Sounds like a straw man thing there. I don't know that people are actually complaining about that. Mike, what do you think?
People want to see that beautiful punum.
Wait, hold on. Okay, wait, hold on. That's not true. I'm going to pull up the thread right now on CanesInsight.com. 7.5 million posts and counting. They went over the ACC, by the way, network is awesome. We love the ACC network. Taylor Tannenbaum, Eric Matt Klein, just awesome. Kelly Gramlich wasn't on, but she's always great. But yeah, look, here we go. Great interview, D-Money. Can you do something about your microphone taking up half your screen? So me being responsive to the people, I tried to position my mic similar to multimedia professional Mike Ryan, top 10 iTunes artist, and then Pete with your setup, which is dynamic. But
you have a different setting. You have a different setting. You have a different setting on yours, and yeah,
guys, it's Gator week. We need to get on the same page here. I don't know what's happening right now. Like, people are saying he can hear him fine. Like, this is bickering.
Well, they can hear him fine now. They can hear him fine now because he's talking into the mic correctly.
It's your job as a producer to be on the details. I get it. We're bogged down here. We can all agree D-Money's got a nice kisser. We're moving on now. All right, it's game week. We all need to lock in. I feel like we're a little bit more distracted than the team. I
gotta say, Mike, I think D and I are fine in these. I think you might be a little, not in the studio right now. You should see these shows, man. D and I really don't talk about much on these daily shows, man. We're just gonna sit back like this,
just trying to get us refocused on the game. We got to
lock in. Can we lock in?
Locked in.
Here we go. DJ Volume responding to the fans. Me waking up to notifications the last 2 days. I'm getting off Twitter till the season is over because it's toxic. Now, in my experience, when people say that usually means they're not getting off Twitter and they're actually responding quite a bit. So let me check it out. Here we go. It says, I'm a small voice in a giant corporation. They don't know there's a lot of politics that come with this job, and I can't just tell them to do something my way. So we got to a power struggle here.
Well, I appreciate that's important context, because a lot of times this falls on the DJ and they do get instruction from either the stadium operations people or the athletic administration over at the University of Miami. I'd be surprised if the University of Miami sent some kind of message, unless it's like the very tippy top. It seems as though, look, it's got to look a certain way. It's got to sound a certain way around Miami games. And we can all agree it hasn't sounded a certain way around Miami games since around the year 2003.
You got to ignore the noise, though, a little bit, Mike. I mean, you're a guy, you're a public figure. You take get a lot of love. You get a lot of
hate.
A
lot more hate.
Constructive criticism sometimes a little less constructive. But you lock in. You're the same guy every day.
Got to be. You got to be able to navigate the good with the bad. Look, if I were affected by comments, I'd be long gone from CanesInSight. But to stay the course, chipped away, and now look at me, fan favorite. That's what everyone in the comments is saying.
Beloved, as is Pete. Pete was a pariah for a minute. They thought Pete was like destroying the program by tempting these kids to go pro.
I was never a pariah, man. It was
a perceived pariah, not from the program itself. I'm talking about on the boards. They thought you were the guy, that you were out here dangling money to get these guys to go pro. I knew the story. I knew the real deal story, but you stood in the paint. You stood in the paint. I see. There
was no paint to stand in. There was nothing that I was just being. I didn't do anything differently than what I was doing before.
We need to lock in here.
In person.
This one's getting away from us right now. Like if I'm like Gator's Insight, I'm licking my chops right now.
If you're Gator's Insight right now, you are listening to Sarah McLachlan to steal a line from my guy Pate. What you got better depressing music catalog than I do. What would be like maybe like a Hank Williams Sr. Song for Gator fans? I don't know if they're that culture. They're probably listening to like
something
Kenny
in the
Chesney
way
or something.
Something in the Way by Nirvana. I listened to that when LeBron decided to go back to Cleveland. I listened to that for like 24 hours straight.
Yeah. Nirvana, that Seattle weather gets you depressed. Joel Warren taking a different approach. I like this. He says, volume has every young co-ed damn near naked dancing around. Job well done from Joel Warren. I hadn't thought about that angle. I don't know if that DJ, I mean, I guess the DJ's got, what's that song? DJ's got the DJ's got me falling in love again.
There we go. That's one by Usher. Yeah, which is usually around the era that DJ Volume's been really focused on, when the Duchess and the Black Eyed Peas were dominating the charts. That's kind of that era, which I think is people's large complaint. Look, it's very easy. We've done this. You don't mix in a couple of Baboni songs, a little contemporary, a little EDM here and there, maybe some of the standards, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Machine Head, maybe a little Metallica song, but everything else needs to be Trick Daddy and like Uncle Luke and Rick Ross. Everything needs to be like turn of the century hip hop. It works. It's easy. It's a formula. And if DJ Volume is hearing it from someone up top that he can't be playing that stuff, then that's a larger issue, and we need to blow the top off this story.
Yeah, we got to get to the bottom of it. You are a Golden Cane. You're deeply entrenched. Me and Peter around there. We'll find out who's doing this and what nefarious reason. I mean, there could be some kind of like psyop reasons why they're playing these songs. Maybe it's a Gator fan, and he's trying to keep the crowd from getting turned. He's trying to, one might say, suppress the electric juice that is going to be flowing through that stadium. So it could be a sabotage deal. Real Fresh Fishing, by the way, saying post-game Pete is legendary. I agree, Mike. I don't know if you've seen Pete.
Yeah, no, I watched it. It was great. And Pete, I've taken your advice. I haven't let anyone tell me that USF is a bad football team. I'm not going to let them forget. I'm not going to let them forget how they were gassing them up.
Don't let the narrative change from what it was before that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I am following your lead. Now we got a big transitive property game. A lot of people are doing the thing that, hey, Miami beat the team that beat Florida at the Swamp, no less. Why is this line 7.5? I think we can detail exactly why this line is 7.5. Now, I'm not fully done with my rewatch of Florida LSU. I did watch that game pretty intently as someone that thought Florida can keep the game close, and they did. Look, their backs were up against the wall the majority of last season. They were up against the wall in one of the toughest places to play in the nation at Death Valley. The defense came to play. The offense is a disaster, and I don't think Lagway is fit because he doesn't seem to be getting his legs underneath him. I think it's gotten in the way of his conditioning. D-Money, you're always so quick to point out how big Lagway is. The boy's gotten a little bigger. this offseason. He doesn't necessarily look like he's in football shape. Looked in better shape last year, but we respect this opponent. Along the trenches, they're going to put forth an admirable effort. And I think this is a really tough opponent at a difficult time for Miami to face them. Now, Miami is aided by the fact that this is a hated rival Gators. Mario is not going to be sleeping on the Florida Gators. It is impossible to do so. He hates this team, I think, as much as anybody. And you have to imagine the recruiting battles that have gone on between these two teams over the last 15 years are even more compelling than what's been happening on the field, because Florida doesn't want to play Miami every year. But I do think that this is a situation here for Miami. And I love your boys' thoughts on this. This is the type of game a true contender TCBs. A pretender succumbs to the rat poison. A pretender gets caught in this situation. I don't think Florida is going to be sneaking up on Miami, and they're talented enough to have Miami take them seriously, and for this to still be a game midway through the third quarter.
Oh, this is a talented team. I think, like I said, I thought they were immediate creation from where they were, but in terms of a desperate kind of animal, they're dangerous. They have enough speed. Lagway's got enough arm. They have enough size that they can hurt you. And we all hate the Gators so passionately. To me, the team I hate the most by far, there really is no number two. So the thought of them potentially winning scares me, even if it's a smaller chance than maybe they thought before the season. Some of us knew they sucked, but it's a high upside, high floor game, because if we beat them and they're struggling so bad, their coach is getting fired, Game Day's doing a week-long infomercial for the Canes, it's going to be the greatest week ever, because it's basically just going to be a commercial for how Miami's good and how UF is terrible. Now, if we lose, it'll be a nightmare, but if we win, we got to stomp on some graves and really rub it in. So a lot riding on this one. I think with Lagway, we did the show. We've broken this game down so many ways, but I really think it comes down to, I don't think he sucks, really. I really don't. I think the team sucks. I don't think he sucks. He has sucked to this point, but he's going to hear that all week. And that Kyron Drones game, Mike, it lives in my memory, because I was there. And I know our defense turned out to be not very good.
Yeah.
But he was awesome, separate from our defense being bad. And you knew that he was hearing, hey, Cam Ward's Cam Ward's my cousin. I train with this guy. I know I'm better than this guy. Of course he's not, but in his head. So
we don't know that yet.
Experience scares me.
I'm with you. The Kyron Drones game is a good example. Look, how many times did we see an ass Miami team take an elite FSU team to the limit? These in-state rivalries are different. Prime time. You got a lot of people playing for pride, and you've seen it. You can have your opinions about Billy Napier and his deficiencies as a head coach. We've seen this team fight for Billy Napier. We know that they have that in them. We know that they have that in their arsenal, and we know that DJ Lagway against good defenses can show up. Now, I think it's a different story. I think he's more physically limited than he was last year. I think he's got a shoulder injury. I don't think his lower body is right from that calf injury. I think his conditioning has suffered because of all those things. But also, historically, if a guy somehow survives throwing 5 interceptions, an elite talent, no less, they typically respond by not turning the ball over that same way, because they know they could get yanked. And I know there's a lot of online conjecture. Get out of here. The head coach can bench DJ Lagway. He has the authority to do so. I mean, I think that was a conversation he was having with DJ Lagway on the sideline, provided that Florida got the ball again in that game. I think that's an insane conversation. DJ Lagway is going to respond by protecting the ball. And I know USF, there's conjecture as to whether or not they were baiting Miami players to have procedural penalties. But Miami's got plenty of stuff to clean up. One of the things I was proudest of was how clean Miami was through the first 2 weeks, especially when you consider how sloppy the conditions were against Notre Dame. Miami won that game with their discipline. We highlighted JoJo Trader not responding to the baiting and the personal foul right there. They need to clean this up. The Florida Gators guys are desperate. They're going to be trying to bait Miami into personal fouls and procedural penalties. You have to maintain your discipline. The championship caliber teams don't get sucked into this stuff. The Nick Saban teams of Alabama never would break the line of discipline. You got to clean it up, Miami.
Question from TJ Preble saying, D, what was it like for you when you were at UF? I went to FSU for undergrad, so I know the pain. So those who don't know, I went to UF for financial reasons on scholarship 03 to 07. So, the first year was great. Brock Berlin won. Actually, the second year was great too. We won that one as well. But then eventually the wheels came off and we kind of went downhill. They ended up going right to the top. And that was a very annoying process to live through, seeing us go in this direction, then go in that direction. I would say UF fans, to me, they're nerdy is the best way to describe it. A lot of them are just dorks. And I think it's gotten worse over time as the standards have gotten higher. They just get, every time we went back there and I was like, man, these people are losers. It was my sense of it. It was kind of like going to Cal. It was a similar dynamic. And you got a lot of people that might be like a kid that grew up in, I don't know, South Florida, Boca, whatever. And he's like, he goes to UF, not a local guy, someone who goes to UF and then it's like, oh, I read in the blog that college football is super cool, so now I'm going to study it. And then a year later, they think they're the college football experts, and they just started following it because they went to UF and decided that was the thing to do. That, to me, is the classic UF fan. They listen to Kenny Chesney, just annoying crowd. The Alachua County residents, they called them ACRs back up there, which is like the people that actually live in that area, the ACRs. To me, they were cool. I mean, they root for a team I hated, but they were just rooting for their local team. They were real people. The Gator fans that went to UF and became Gator fans, by and large, huge nerds and just annoying to be around in my experience. And they thought they knew a lot, but they really, in most cases, knew very little and just kind of took a crash course. FSU, totally different. That was wild over there. And then, SEC is different, the rest of the SEC, but Florida, kind of like Cal, but they cared more, if that makes sense.
I do think that they care. I'll give them a little bit more respect for their ball knowledge because they're not so far removed from really impressive on-field success, and they've had to play all-time teams, Nick Saban's Alabama and LSU. So that I think they're more in tune with what it's supposed to look like than, frankly, most Miami fans of a certain age. I think once you go north of 40, I think Miami fans know exactly what it's supposed to look like and have constantly been worried about us upholding the standard. But I do think that Florida fans are a little bit more educated now. They're annoying online, but I don't think they're as annoying as FSU fans online. Hell, I think they're probably third in the state because UCF's got an incredibly annoying social media presence. But look, they're obviously right to be pissed. Did you guys see the set? And I know you guys are Dan Mullen guys. I especially know that D-Money is. Did you see the stat that Billy Napier has to win his next 28 games?
28.
Yeah, 28 games to reach Dan Mullen's winning percentage. You never want to be the guy that follows a legend. In Gainesville, you want to be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy. It's crazy.
Pete, if there's one thing I know that you love, I know there's a few things that you love. I know you love Grayson, which you're repping here. I know you love hitting the gym. Getting your swole on.
So I saw our boy Josh Cooker in the gym earlier. I saw he was in the comments here.
Oh, he's in the comments, yeah. But I know the other thing that you really love is our guy Brett McMurphy, right? That's your guy, the electrifying Brett McMurphy, who gave you credit for breaking the Mark Richt story, the only major media member that was brave enough to give the young whippersnapper credit, and a friend to this day, someone that I know you guys had a little dust up because you were eating too much of the Wagyu.
A little kerfuffle when it comes to the beef carpaccio, but the carpaccio kerfuffle is what they're calling it at Burns. But a man that I've broken bread with, and I hope to break bread with at another juncture. But what were you getting to?
I don't know. The carpaccio kerfuffle. Pete, I got to say, Mike, there's a wrestling example that Pete's not going to know, but with when Stone Cold was in his prime, when he did the first promo, he did like 3 classic catchphrases in one promo. Remember, he did the off the cuff. He didn't plan them. He was just on such a run that every interview he did, he would drop catchphrases just naturally. Mm-hmm. I feel that's post-game Pete right now. With what he did, he had a great one for Gerald Pringle. Once he popped,
I told you though, the Gerard Pringle one is Chase Romero. I give him credit for that one. I assisted because before the Bethune game, he asked me who are some guys to look for, and I told him watch for Pringle, and he started watching his stuff, and he said once he popped, the fun don't stop. And there could be other phrases that germinate amongst time over time.
Hashtag postgame Pete. I love it when Pete has. I tune into those. It's honestly supplanted Josie and Don Bailey, who do a great job on their postgame. But I gotta hear Pete's energy. He has one when he repeats himself, because when Peter Ariz repeats himself, he envisions that on a t-shirt. Once you pop, you can't stop. That's right. Once you pop, you can't stop. So keep an eye out for post-game Pete.
It's just to correct you. It's once he popped, the fun don't stop.
There you go. There you go.
Josh Cooker saw you in the gym. He said you were working out there. Also thinks U.S. going to try to control clock. I agree, Josh. We were talking about this morning. I think they're going to try to make the game shorter, so the worst team in this case, UF can win, and the bigger plays, a turnover, a big throw by Lagway, kind of turn the game a little more. Yeah, Pete. I know when Pete's rolling when the syntax gets a certain way. When he starts using words like germinate, he's like Stephen A. Smith. When the syntax starts rolling and he's enunciating those words, he's operating.
And he'll do like one of these, like a and like a little head bobble. That's right.
So McMurphy, though, a great line here. Florida so far this season: 2 apologies for a player spitting and a coach pregame altercation, 1 win.
Yeah, I think they also have more touchdowns called off the board than touchdowns scored this season. There's a lot of interesting UF sets, but I think you outlined right. Look, we know the formula. If Florida plays a clean game, baits Miami into a couple of penalties, if Miami doesn't necessarily meet the moment with composure and discipline and execution, Florida will hang around. They've shown how they can hang around just last week in a hostile atmosphere. Methodically so. They know how to play the role of underdog, save our coach's bacon. They have plenty of experience there. So I think they'll trot that back out there again. And for Miami, stay the course, don't get sucked into the games, and eventually, war of attrition, you'll beat them down and the cream will rise. Your playmakers will make those plays. You'll break through. But I do think that this is a unique challenge. I still don't know what to make of Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman at the start of season seems to be disastrous, and he figures it out as they go along. So I do still maintain that victory will age well. But this is the most unique challenge of Mario Cristobal's Miami Hurricanes in 2025. You went into that Notre Dame game, bit of a house money game, non-conference. If you lose, you're still okay. You assume Notre Dame is good, being national runner-up and all. Now, everyone believes you to be good. Everyone knows it's looking a certain way. College game day is down here. You have a team that hasn't really had to deal with this level of success. Some of them were here last year. A lot of that was smoke and mirrors. Every week there was something, a new hole that you had to plug following that Virginia Tech game, which was kind of like a line of demarcation where the season kind of evolved from, hey, we legitimately have a national title shot, to, oh my God, is this defense going to waste this offense? Are we not going to get in the CFP because we're going to lose a dumb one? It's a unique challenge. Thank God we have Carson Beck at quarterback, who has big game experience, has plenty of experience beating the Florida Gators. I do think that Miami is right between the ears to be able to handle this, but it is a unique challenge. And it's one that, honestly, Miami and Mario Cristobal do deserve national skepticism. This is a team that has to prove it to people. This is a head coach that has to prove it to people. And I love Coach. I love how he's building this program. And the only way to shut people up is to win the Natty. And I believe he will. Maybe not this year, but eventually. He has shown that this program is heading in the right direction. But there are a lot of narratives that he has to dispel by doing the damn thing. You can begin by doing the damn thing on Saturday night.
You mentioned game day, so let's talk about that, because you are uniquely suited to talk about this. You care about the minutia. You care about these kind of things. Hrvatsky, P, what flag is that? You would know.
Croatian.
There it is, baby. Beautiful. What a beautiful coast right there for Croatia. Here you go. You got which, by the way, Croatia, how'd they get that deal? Have you seen the map of that area? They got the whole coast. Yeah. Must be nice. Victor goes to foils.
It has to be soccer related. They had to have played an international friendly for the coastline.
So here we go. We got the timeline for game day. Sebastian Font of CanesInSight posting this, reposting this from Football. You got the line opening at 5 a.m. Pit. The pit? Is this like is that what they call it? The pit?
I think the main pit in front of the stage at College Game Day is what College Game Day. We're adhering to College Game Day lingo. I think we can assume that the stage setup will resemble what it did in 2017 by the pool, right?
Well, I hope they're moshing over there in the pit, 6:30 a.m. and gets that open. College game day live at 9 a.m. Guest picker 11:45. So guest picker. I mean, I think we're all kind of in the Danny Ramirez camp. Obviously, we know him off the field here, so we're biased in that way. I think though it's his moment. The guy's been balling, his star continues to rise. He's texting us about DT evaluation offers to DT's committed to UNLV. He's trying to get the scoop on that. So I think in terms of being locked in, he's probably the most locked in college football fan that's famous on the planet. But anyone else in your mind to be the guest picker here?
Yeah, so I've been working this angle because I still have plenty of friends that work around college game day. I was at ESPN the last time they came down to Miami. So I can confirm that our birthday boy, Danny Ramirez, is in the mix. However, I am sad to report that I might have ruined his chances by floating to producers, hey, Coco Gauff's a Canes fan. And they were like, well, word, we hadn't thought about that. So here's the good news. Danny loves this program. Danny may have plenty of opportunities if Mario keeps this thing cooking the way we expect him to. Hell, he may be able to be celebrity guest picker from one of the college football playoff games. Who knows? But I do know that Danny is an option. And it seems as though in lieu of the mascot head not being a thing, there is an up to ante when it comes to absolutely nailing these guest pickers, because the guest picker has become the attraction. I know they're workshopping a Pat McAfee promo at the end, which kind of feels a little redundant because it's in line with his brand. A great brand, by the way. I'm not taking a shot at that, but it doesn't feel special the way that certainly the mascot head did. And I think even he would concede that. So right now, ESPN kind of feels the pressure of making sure they nail these guest pickers. Now, we know that they had A-Rod in 2017, so he's probably out. We do know that WrestlePalooza, the premium live event, is making its debut on ESPN. Corporate Synergy would say, let's try to get The Rock. Seems pretty busy, all right? But from a corporate synergy standpoint, that makes sense, as does Danny, because keep in mind, Danny is an Avenger, after all, inside that Disney family. I don't think Abella Danger is going to be the guest picker. I have not asked. I don't know if that's on brand, but I would love to see Rosie out there. Sir,
you got a tailgate going on too, right?
Yeah, we gotta support the tailgate too. We got a
yellow lot.
Yellow lot. We saw that. I'm sure. Look, our audience follows her. I know you follow her, so you have that information out there. I think Coco Gauff is one in terms of star power, in terms of passion for the University of Miami, and a different look, because she's never been a part of that, and who knows if she's even going to be available down the line to do that. I think that one's interesting. I do know that they swung for the fences. Miami was a game day game during the COVID years when everybody was on remote, and they tried to get Jennifer Lopez to do it, who was dating Alex Rodriguez at the time. They tried a couple of different options, and they swung and missed, and landed on Stugatz. So this is a process that often doesn't figure itself out until like Friday.
Are you on the list?
No, absolutely.
Maybe a little lower, but are you on the list?
Danny, my history with ESPN's a bit, shall we say, sordid.
Good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I would say Levitard would probably be someone that they should consider too. But again, sordid history there over at ESPN.
I got you. Well, I saw AJ Lee in WWE, so it could be one of those deals. But Scroopy right here was in Death Valley for the Gator beatdown, and their DJ was playing straight heat all night. Yeah, let me know the playlist. I'm curious what they play out there. Was it like the Trigger Man beat, that kind of New Orleans sound, like a juvenile like Manny Fresh situation? Let me know the what's going on over there. Oh, Nico Cooper, Mike, let D Money know. KC Concepcion looking good at A&M and still a better pro prospect and talent than
Yeah. Look, this is I lost the debate last year. Xavier Restrepo was twice the player KC Concepcion was, and I was mad embarrassed. But I'm salvaging myself a little bit here. Even D Money would concede. KC looks really good for Texas A&M. Xavier Restrepo struggling to hang on in the pros. Hopefully he does get an opportunity there. But Concepcion is looking like a potential first-round pick. That speed is just different.
Yeah, they got good receivers over there, man. They really upgraded in the portal, Texas A&M, and they were dynamic in that game. Also, Mario Craver from Mississippi State, really electric. But yeah, I look, pro prospect, I can't argue. Concepcion is going to get higher than Restrepo. Brashard Smith, I mean, he made the team, and he got drafted. So
yeah,
you got to go ahead.
Remember the conversations we were having about Concepcion specific too. He's always somebody that every time he's rumored to be entering the portal or has entered the portal. I know Miami was in the mix for Concepcion. Imagine this receiving core, who I've heard other Miami Hurricanes podcasts shout out through the smoke, wonder aloud, is this receiving core better than last year's receiving core? Can you imagine if this receiving core had Concepcion too? The wealth of riches, the embarrassment of riches that Carson Beck would have at his disposal. So unfortunately, Concepcion's playing for Texas A&M and not us. Seems to be a really good player and will probably be playing on Sundays, no doubt.
Lynch and Rollins got it coming to him, baby.
So let's see what else we got going on. Eric Singleton, yeah, man, that would have been a cane. I talked to Keelan Marion today for Storm Sessions. Amazing. Easiest interview I ever did. I asked him 2 questions. The guy did his whole life story off top, super charismatic guy, great energy. Really excited about Keelan Marion, seeing what he could do.
Pete, I know that I would love to get Pete's thoughts on Keelan Marion, because this guy came in as an AP All-American, but just specific to kick returning. And it was kind of thought of anything he gives us outside of gadget plays, swing plays, yak design plays is a bonus. But this guy is adjusting the balls. He's winning 50-50 balls. He's coming out of his break quick. He's got good timing with Carson Beck. I'm very curious what your read is on Keelan Marion, because he is surprising me.
Yeah, he's looking like more of a real polished receiver than I thought. Maybe coming in initially, the reports out of BYU were really good that he had taken that next step. But he's strong, Mike. Like he's got really good core strength. I think with receivers, a lot of times we just talk about the speed and running by people and the quicks, but being able to take hits. He had a couple contested catches, did a good job of reeling it in and holding on when taking hits. He's done that a few times this year already, and we can talk about it with CJ Daniels, as he should be getting a lot of the love for the contested catches he's making. But Marion's made some tough grabs also, falling down to the ground. So
I'm sorry, I wanted you to finish your point, but can I ask you something? Because I've seen a couple of comments here, and I've had a bit of a week, so I've kind of just tangentially seen there's something going on with Ball. I assume we're talking about Jaden Ball and not Sammy Ball, but I have got no idea what's going on with the Ball discourse. Can you give me an update here on what this is?
P, go ahead.
I mean, look, D, you can say it differently if you want, but I think D was downplaying Jaden Ball a little bit and basically said he was like an average running back. And
average SEC running back.
Well, you didn't say that at first. You said that at the end, and still an average SEC running back. Like, I don't know if that's the case or not, but basically, I think he was downplaying Ball a good amount. And I said if Ball was here, he'd be in the mix as one of Miami's guys. And like if he was running behind this offensive line, he'd be running for a lot lot
Who's coaching him this week? I saw something in the news. Is it Billy Napier? Is Billy Napier just trying to coach every position?
I do have a bit of a connection in that one. Not me personally, but Jabbar Jalouk was the head coach at Edna Carr, D, when Stan Dobard was was over there. They had Speedy Noyle and some of these other guys. It was a big lot of talent coming out of Edna Carr at the time. But
let's keep it in New Orleans, by the way, because I wanted to get to this, and you gave a great transition with Stan. Shout out to Stan, who also, on top of being a musician and he's a football player, he's also a musician and now big time in the Asian world. So shout out to Stan Dobard, doing really, really well outside of football. So happy to see that. But GG saying, D, because I made a comment earlier, that New Orleans trigger man beating Cash Money. Someone put me onto this. I didn't know this until maybe like a couple of years ago, but basically the New Orleans sound, which we all know from listening to these songs for all these years, there's a New York song, just like a random 80s rap song in New York, that had a break beat that somebody in New Orleans found and started using that break beat for a song called Trigger Man. Again, just like a nondescript New York rap song, but it had a very good break beat. And from that break beat, you basically had the whole New Orleans sound, Manny Fresh. Like when you hear, we can't play it because of copyright, but
hold on a second. Roger, hold on a second. Roger, I did not say he'd be starting at Miami. He says Gators running back is average, and P said that running back would be starting. I did not say that. I did not say that yesterday. So
I mean, I believe him to be. I believe him to be a good player. I guess I'm probably Switzerland here a little bit, Pete. But look, we lost. Look, Jordan Lyle's presently not in the mix right now because of injury. Miami's running back room is pretty good. I think Mark Fletcher. People are saying that's probably Mark Fletcher's best game in a Miami Hurricanes uniform when you consider the opponent being ranked and all that. It's funny because exiting fall camp, Fletcher was dealing with a little something. Marty Brown was looking so good and so consistent. And I was wondering how Mark Fletcher kind of fit in with this. Jordan Lyle didn't give us much in limited looks against Notre Dame, and he got hurt in that game. And Mark Fletcher took that opportunity and literally ran with it. This is a really good running back room. I think Jordan Lyle's certainly going to have his opportunities and snaps to show his dynamism and his game-breaking ability. But I think it speaks to just generally how good we feel about this running back room. For you to take for D-Money to take purported pot shots at someone the likes of Jaden Ball, who I think is talented. Just doing the lazy stat counting right now is 6.6 rushing average. He's got big size. You know that D-Money's attracted to these measurables. He seems like a good player.
They did play LIU, which I agree with D pointing that out, but I'm like just watching him. He's a load to bring down, man.
So Big Steve's correct. Appreciate you listening. The song I was referring to is Drag Rap, which had the beat, but I guess it was used in a song called Trigger Man as a sample, or the person making it. There's some connection to Trigger Man. That's what became the name. But you're right. The song was called Drag Rap, New York song. That was then becoming that little break beat was the foundation of a whole genre of great music. And shout out to LSU for keeping that tradition. We got to find out who do you think's pulling the strings of this. Who you're an insider. Me and Peter are still outsiders to this media world. You're an insider. Who's controlling all this stuff in Hard Rock?
Let's say DJ Volume made his name in Miami. I think DJ Volume knows what would work. And I do think that there's probably some kind of family-friendly edict from on high. Now, whether that's Hard Rock or the University of Miami that's sending that message. I mean, the University of Miami pays a lot in their lease agreement. It would be weird if Hard Rock dictated what they can or cannot play, provided there's no profanity. So maybe there's this notion that it needs to be a little family friendly. Here's what I would say. I have 2 notes for DJ Volume. Same note as always, turn of the century hip hop, Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, can't go wrong. And number 2 is if it's looking like it looked last year in Gainesville, you play Don't Back Down because that song's ours.
Oh yeah. No, we got to taunt them with that. That one has to happen. That one has to happen if we're on the winning side of the equation.
Yes.
But yeah, that's got to be in the back pocket. That's like Pepas. You can't use that too early. You got to have that one ready to rock and roll and to stomp on these guys and really kind of humiliate them. I mean, I want to save some of this for if we can win the game to just kind of rip these guys, but I just don't understand if you're a Gator fan. Like, what is cool about being a Gator fan? They've been a solid program at times. Obviously, they've won 3 championships. Like, I get that part. But in terms of, like, the actual aesthetic of this team or, like, the culture, like, what can you get excited about unless you're a fan of serial killers? I know there are a lot of, like, there's the girls that have the boyfriends in jail that are like serial killers, and then they get girlfriends, outside of jail, like the serial killer fans. I can see how those fans are attracted to the University of Florida, given, they're the serial killers that have played on the team. But if you're not a serial killer fan, like, what do you attach to with the Florida Gators that's exciting? It's the helmet. I mean, their uniforms suck. Their helmets are atrocious. They were out of style once the 80s started. So I don't understand what the culture is of the Gators that gets you excited if you are a Gator fan, other than, they've had a good team at times that's won.
I kind of like their uniforms.
You like that helmet?
I think the script helmet, I think they could take more chances with some more alts, but I do think that they have a solid uniform set. When it comes to the killers that have been around that program, look, we're a bit of a glass house, you know. We did have that teammate situation. But I'm with you right now. Look, I'm reveling in the fact that our arrow is pointing up and their arrow is pointing down. We had to deal with this. We had to swallow a lot of mud. All right. We had to deal with going to college game day as a 17.5-point dog in their building with SEC refs, with Urban Meyer desperate to cover to take care of his boosters. All right. That was Robert Marv against Tim Tebow. That was not a fair fight. Game day was there. I had to walk through that crowd. It wasn't fun.
I was there.
Shoes on the other foot, hopefully. I want it to be hell on wheels for anybody that made the mistake in judgment to travel to the University of Miami for game day or travel to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens. I want their lives to be hell. I want them to rue the day they decided to travel down for that game.
They're selling tickets. They know they're going to lose. Mochetta. The Lickin', baby. We're at the Lickin'. The Lickin'. Miami Gardens, right across the street from the stadium, 5 minutes away. They'll take care of you. Chef Bridget, Taylene, the whole crew is going to be cooking up some of the most unbelievable Southern food you ever had. I mean, you think me and Pete are doing promos when we're talking about that food. We like the red light turns off and we're talking the exact same. We probably have even more effusive because we don't have to talk about the game. We can just talk strictly about the food, which is what's on our mind. It's 100% real. The Lickin'. Miami Gardens going to have some celebrity guests as well, it sounds like this week.
Yes, so we are.
Roll out to the Lickin'. It's going to be a spectacular. We'll do a bunch of shows there, Mo. So we need you out there. And Mo, you know, I got to get rid of you here because I got a good question from Bill K. Did you hear about that female inmate that got pregnant through another inmate sending her his love juice through the air vents? WSVN's actually airing that. You know, it sounds like flowers and like certain insects reproduce this way where like the semen goes in the air and then lands and inseminates. There's certain species that do this, that inseminate through the air. I didn't know humans were among them, but you know, Bill K, I've heard that story. In fact, let's look it up here. You know, jail pregnancy through air vents. My search history and my algorithm is going to be in trouble here. I don't know where this is going to send me, but yeah, here we go.
I believe one of the details that I read, D-Money, was that there was substance on like a napkin of some sorts that was then passed through. I don't think it was working like photosynthesis, as you suggest.
Here we go. Here's the happy couple, the lovely couple right here.
An unfortunate mustache, my man. That one. Let's just call that a chaplain for those listening at home.
He's trying to bring it back, man. He's trying to reclaim the mustache. It was taken from, you know.
Not even Michael Jordan could. All right. Not even Michael Jordan could. And look where it's gotten you, my friend. Inseminating fellow cellmates in prison. I'm telling you, you can judge anybody that is proof positive that if anybody shows up with a chaplain, it's probably bad judgment, and you can make a character assessment right then and there.
You know, Mike, you get mad at me, or P really is the one that gets mad at me for some of my comps. You see how my comps are too exaggerated. Look at this girl. She says that getting pregnant, despite the two never having touched, was like the Virgin Mary. So we talking about some pretty inflated comps. How about that one from the inmate right here?
Not exactly a manger.
Yeah, strong words there. Josh says I stopped paying attention for 2 minutes. Now I got mug shots on the screen. I mean, we were talking about the Gators a second ago and some of their history. So maybe
who do you guys want to see? I think we're all biased. So let's set Danny aside. Who do you guys want to see, especially in the chat too? Realistically, who do you want to see as a game day picker?
Mike Irvin.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if it's cliche. I'm sorry if it's cliche.
Do you think he has too much stuff around him?
Irvin?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I mean, he still does the occasional guest hits on First Take, right?
Yeah, he's around.
Yeah.
Irvin's straight.
Someone floated Ray Lewis. I'm like, I'm not sure. I mean, he did work for ESPN.
Yeah. We're not talking about Aaron Hernandez here, fellas. These guys are free men living their lives and making money, making moves on top of being legendary Hall of Famers. I mean, let's Irvin and Ray are good to go.
I've seen Dana White be thrown
Jimmy.
out.
Jimmy would be a good one, I think.
Jimmy
would be a phenomenal one, and he has to go every Sunday. Did he retire on TV, or is
he's retired from Fox?
So coming up from the Keys would be nice and easy for him on a Saturday morning. I would think
Jimmy's a great one.
We got to talk about something.
To me, Jimmy, if you just had to choose one, that's all encompassing, especially because he was just out. He brought out the team against Notre Dame too. They have recent footage of him. Like he's been around now.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's oddly enough, it's kind of a tip of the hat to Corso retiring. You have another television personality retire. Fox did the simulcast to say goodbye to Lee Corso. It'd be cool for ESPN to repay the favor and let Fox's broadcasting legends say goodbye on their air. I think Jimmy Johnson. Now I think that's exceptional. I think I'm team Jimmy Johnson now. I think this one makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Brandon says, can't be Trenton Breeze. He picked Florida. The young Trenton Breeze picking Notre Dame an opening week, still getting crap for it. This guy, I got to say, man, Trenton Breeze, when you think he's going one way, he goes the other. It's hard to put a category on this young man out of Kentucky. Great basketball player. He will make highlight reels and he'll use rap songs from the early 2000s, which he's 14 years old, 15. What's he, 16 now? He was not even alive for this. So he'll surprise you. He's an enigma right there. Trenton Breeze. You got still trying to figure him out. He's he's an interesting one. So shout out to him.
Some people, I think we highlighted one of the tweets. Some people, I want to salute Miami's in-game entertainment. I know that the DJ volume thing is a toxic subject, so we'll just put that to the side right now for a second. But this new tradition of having a Hurricanes legend walk out of the locker room and do the Hurricane siren, I am loving this thing. The Jimmy Johnson thing where he doesn't break eye contact with the camera, it's goosebump inducing. If it is indeed true, Michael Irvin is going to be doing that for the Florida game. Apparently he said that on YouTube earlier this week. That is going to be a moment. We're going to be losing our minds.
Trey Moore says all those guest pickers you just said are going to Bella Danger's tailgate. Probably. Lord Baconton, appreciate your support. This UM team is a different mentality this year. Not worried at all about any letdown. Have something to prove every game. Yeah, I agree with you. This is a professional squad. The personalities, having interviewed these kids, they're so locked in on this game. Carson Beck is locked in. Obviously, Mario's locked in. The veteran leadership's there. I interviewed Marion today. He's class of 2019. Beck's class of 2020. Torrey is class of 2019. These guys should be in the pros. They're old players, and I think they'll get them. They'll get everybody locked in. I'll tell you who told me, by the way, that we would have a different mentality, because he was sitting right next to me at practice, and he pointed this out, and he said, hey, this is going to be a different type of team. That's my man, the OrchidMan, landscape artisans. If you are landscaping your house, your commercial property, you don't want to think about all the little details or all the big details, call OrchidMan, South Florida's landscape artisans. They must have had Pete working for their marketing team to come up with that. That's some serious wordsmithing right there. Passionate about landscapes. You've seen him on the show. He's passionate about landscapes. 786-271-0332. Working all South Florida down to the Keys. Hurricane prep, fertilizing, landscape lighting, rain gutters, irrigation, manicured maintenance, tree trimmings, tree stump grinding. Mike, have you ever grinded a tree stump?
D-Money, I had to get somebody to do it. I could only take it so far. You need that job done right. It takes skill. Otherwise, you risk ruining your lawn forevermore.
100%.
It doesn't take any man. It takes the OrchidMan.
It takes the OrchidMan.
Pete, man, you're locked in. You're locked in right now.
Another thing I want to salute the in-game entertainment ops people on. I love this new In the Air Tonight version. Well, it's an older version by Nonpoint. I think it gives that a little extra juice, because we do kind of play In the Air Tonight a couple of times during our stadium programming. That highlight package with that version of the song from an ill-fated 2006 Miami Vice film, that one's working right now. And so thumbs up there. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. It's looking a certain way. Let's just get it sounding a certain way.
Mike, we said a lot of cliches, not cliches, but like a lot of slogans from the school. But I'm noticing you're not saying a slogan that has not only lasted, but is really caught fire. And that would be electric juice.
Can juice catch fire?
No.
If it's electric.
Only if it's electric.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are really trying to make this thing a thing.
I'm not trying. It is a thing, my friend. You're trying to hold down the electric juice, and it is.
I gotta be honest.
Overflowing.
I gotta be honest. I was in that stadium last week. It was a great performance on the field. I didn't exactly feel electric juice. Now the crowd did well. They came back out after a long weather delay, which was nonsense, by the way. The weather during that weather delay was nicer than it was the entirety of that Notre Dame game. I don't know where this lightning strikes in the area. It didn't make any sense.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this the graphic. A little bit. I don't know if they should have the hurricane looking thing over the state.
Well, also, this is an artificial intelligence graphic, right? Because like the panhandle is way too small compared to the rest. I mean, that is a bottom. Although that may be the intention. The southern tip is really where the electric juice is concentrated on. So that's why it's engorged.
Look at the electric juice is flowing from the ground. It's flowing underneath the state as well.
I will buy into electric juice if the crowd meets the moment. We all know what it looked like the last time College Game Day was down here. The crowd responded in kind at Hard Rock Stadium. If they provide an atmosphere like that in which we all look at each other in the eye and say Florida's got no shot tonight, then I'll buy in on electric juice. But it is not a thing presently. And if you think it was a thing just because they won last week, crowd didn't look the part. Late arriving student section, not filled up. Student section have been challenged to wear white. Good. It's going to be an eyesore to see like little white shirts spackled here and there. The student section, this is the one consistent about Hard Rock Stadium because I know when the people are there, it can be loud. The students have a team now. I mean, Trenton Breeze has lived his entire life and he hasn't had a team to be excited about, really. All right? Please.
That's not true. He's a big basketball guy.
That's very my apologies.
We had the run a couple years ago.
They got to meet the moment. The students have to be heard. This is their time. Do you understand how many classes have come and gone that have not had this opportunity? You get to be in the school. You get to be at the University of Miami when they've had Cam Ward and Carson Beck at quarterback. All right? Do you know how the wasteland, the barren wasteland of quarterbacks we've gone through? We talked ourselves into Tyler Van Dyke and Jaron Williams. Hell, Kirby Freeman had a game where he completed a pass. Come on, guys. Meet the moment.
The crowd was good for USF. I mean, that was
they were ranked. No, the crowd wasn't good for USF. That needs to be a sellout. We can't have players begging on social media, come pack the rock. You're playing the number 18 team in the nation that just beat Florida. All right. No, the crowd wasn't good. If that's where your standard is, we need to raise the standard. And that's what I'm thankful that Mario Cristobal has not toned down the rhetoric. We need that place to be an insane asylum on Saturday. I know Michael Irvin's going to play his part. All right. DJ Volume, I'm hoping, plays his part. I have confidence that the team will play the part, but the fans got to meet the moment.
Nashville Kane saying that Prisoner had some electric juice. Clearly, that was rolling. So yeah, Pedro agrees with you. Says the crowd wasn't good. I thought it was pretty live. I mean, I've been in there for a million bad ones, but it seemed pretty live. The student section's always going to be weak, though.
They were resilient. I was happy with how they acquitted themselves nicely. They came back. They were eager to get that game going there. And that's all I'll say about them. I don't think that they were particularly good. And I'm sick of saying things like, oh, this crowd is good for Bethune. Oh, this crowd is good for USF. How about just this crowd is amazing. That should be the standard when you have a team this good. What more does Mario Cristobal have to do? We've been begging for teams like this. We've been firing coaches and flying banners and demanding that the team do more to get you to pay for a ticket to show up. They've done all those things. Hell, they've gotten rid of every coordinator over the last 3 years that bothered you. They got Carson Beck in to replace Cameron Ward. What are you doing? Come on out. Pay the money. Support this team. If you're going to one game all season, it needs to be this one. We have how many wide receivers? do we have in the building? How many how many prize recruit wide receivers alone do we have coming to this game?
Yeah, was it like, I have to pull up the stat for 2027? It's like half the top 20, basically.
It's 11 of the top 20. 11 of the top 20 available receivers. This is an in-demand ticket for all the prize recruits. Everybody in the state that has to make a decision amongst the 3 major schools is going to be locked into this game. Why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't you want to be there? This should be a game in which they talk about for years to come. We don't have college game days in town anymore. This is a special thing. It needs to be talked about. I know that this is a disappointing Florida team. Well, don't you want to be the school that puts a final nail in the coffin? Don't you want to be the school that tells Florida with thudding finality they're not in this game anymore?
Thudding finality. Let's go. Pete's quiet during the combo.
Nashville Kane says, I'm quiet. I think everyone should watch the game where they're comfortable.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. That's right. That's right. Listen, Pete, you're storing up the electric.
If you're comfortable in the rock, you're comfortable in the rock. If you're comfortable at home, you're comfortable at home.
Pete, when Mario Cristobal says that place needs to be an asylum, I look directly to you. Like, if he needs the crazies to be uncaged,
I'll be put in an asylum. I'll be put in an asylum if I go into the stadium.
That's true.
That's true. That's where that becomes the issue. It's a little bit more complex than you realize.
If you want to see electric juice and you want to see an asylum, tune into the CanesInSight post-game show.
That's right.
After we beat the Gators and see Pete on there, and you'll see what's going on. Speaking of post-game, Joel Warren says, no joke, got clipped in the back on 95 going home after the Notre Dame game, 65 miles per hour into a guardrail. Called your boys Anajar and Levine accident attorneys, 1-800-747-FREE. That check is going to be a wee bit different than other lame law firms. Joel, appreciate you. Hope you are feeling better, and best of luck. You are in great hands. So,
yeah he's feeling better. Look at those custom frames. Those got to be expensive. And now that's 2 contributions from Joel on this show. He's feeling the electric juice or whatever. He's meeting the moment. I'm telling you, if the crowd does indeed turn up, I will concede electric juice is a thing. I pride myself on being able to admit when I am wrong on something. Okay?
You live for it.
I live for it. There's nothing better than to turn to your fellow man and say, I had that wrong. Thank you for showing me the way. So please show me the way. If you want to believe in electric juice and let it be a thing, then have the effort meet the tagline.
Whew. Man, yeah, I gotta step up my syntax, man. You guys are really dropping some
it's Florida week
words there. Thudding finality, I think you said a sentence ago. Yes. Thudding finality.
Don't you want to be the team that tells Florida this is done? Don't you want to be the guy that says, Billy Napier, you're a position coach for the rest of your life. The only head coaching job that you'll ever get is back in the Sun Belt. Don't you want to be that team? I want to be that team. I want to know what it feels like to be Clemson firing Al Golden. I want to know what it feels like to be USF firing Randy Shannon. Don't you want to do that? Don't you remember when they had Tim Tebow and we had Robert Marv and Sean Spence was having the game of his life and we played the game of our lives that game. We were not a good football team. And we were just not in the same tier. Don't you want to be that? They were stepping on our neck for the last 20 years. They got the better of us, even though we do have 2 dubs. Shout out to Stephen Morris. But don't you want to give them some of that business back? I do.
I mean, I believe I said they were done, 2.5 years ago, but it was a flickering finality, not quite a thudding finality. I would have to say.
Let's give them thudding finality. #thudding finality. #postgame Pete. You were right to
#Carpaccio kerfuffle.
Carpaccio kerfuffle. You were right. You were right to highlight. You were right to highlight that Pete has to stay home, not just to protect others, but also to protect our audience. We have to deliver postgame Pete.
What was it? Thudding finality.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one?
Carpaccio kerfuffle. Yeah. And post-game Pete.
Yeah, and electric juice, Let's be a team player here.
Fine. I'll concede you can do it, but we gotta live it.
Oh, and of course, #postgame Pete. Scuba Steve saying they need to make the atmosphere better for fans. Oh, there it is. Let's go. Look at that, man. Producer Pete getting after it too. I love this.
They need to make the atmosphere better for fans, give some rally towels or something to create noise and make a ruckus. They didn't need to do that against Notre Dame. They don't. We're not. Are we gimmicks now? No. We're the Miami. We are what they say we are. I thought we were bandwagon fans. We're an event town. Are we shying away from that? Is this not an event? Is this not someone you want to hitch your wagon to in Mario Cristobal and Carson Beck? Live the cliche. I've been told, like, we suck as a baseball town, and we have the largest crowd in World Series history. In 1996, people thought the puck was made out of metal, and we were the loudest, most raucous NHL arena in the sport.
What is it made out of?
Hard rubber.
Hard rubber.
Yeah. And we're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and D-Money still doesn't know that.
Hard rubber. I had never even heard of hard rubber. I thought rubber was soft and bouncy.
No, not always. It's rubber. It's a rubber puck.
I guess tires are hard rubber, but that's harder rubber.
Yeah, well, there's hard tires and soft tires. If you watch motorsports, you know that. By the way, shout out to Josh Appel, who gave us the winner with his prediction in Christopher Bell. He won at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, let's get into college football. I'm glad that was a good transition. So before we get to the picks, which we got, it was a tough week for me last week. I was on fire, 3-0, then I go 0-3, lost by a half a point in one of those games the Georgia game. But
yeah,
let's get to these picks here.
That's one that we went head to head on. I thought that would be, of course. Now Georgia did show me something, but at the same time, I'm a little worried about Georgia. That was a great game. Had that game on in the box during the Miami USF game. I think Tennessee is going to be one of these teams. They have the resources. They can get better over time. They're going to be in that CFP. And by the way, Nico, how that is so blown up in his face. You think Nico re-enters the portal?
Who's going to want him?
He's got 30 days. He's honestly like maybe a more evolved Pokemon version of Jaden Rashada at this point.
That's a good comparison. Good comparison. I wonder how Rashad is doing. I'm looking it up in a second, but Jason Williams saying, shout out Al Blades Jr. in the pit crew there in NASCAR. But yeah, let's get through these picks here. Yeah. So, what was your record? I'm 3-3 because I was 3-0 first week, and then last week 0-3. Again, the Georgia win, I lost by half a point, but you got to call it like it is. 0-3 or 0-3 last week. So I'm 3-3. Where are you at?
Man, I killed it last week in my own personal bets. I'm going to scroll up in our group chat. I know I had Tennessee. I don't recall the other ones that I had. But it might have been a 3-0 week.
Oh, you got to be 6-0.
Yeah, might be.
No. All right, well, you're looking for that. I'll start here. Utah -3. Utah, Texas Tech. This is the marquee game right now in the Big 12 based on just traditional performance with Utah being a very good program. A lot of NFL players, a lot of history of winning. Then you got Texas Tech, which is sort of one of these overnight deals, but the Matador Collective, my guy Campbell, they're spending a lot of money. They bought a lot of players. Quentin Joyner, who we were really excited to see the running back from USC out for the season, but they still got a lot of talent, a lot of front seven talent for a Big 12 team. But I'm going with Utah. I think Utah, first of all, the best program in that conference when you talk about the coaching, the pedigree, the talent evaluation, all the stuff that we've seen over the years with Coach Willingham is by far the best in that conference, in my opinion. And then you look at this particular team. I always say Miami is the best offensive line in the country. The only reason I ever hesitate is because Utah is the other team. It's not any of these other teams they talk about. Utah has 2 first-round picks at tackle. Spencer Fano, was it Caleb Luma? I just screw it up, but they
kill it with the polys, man.
Another poly, both first-rounders, and their interior line, super experienced, great coaching. So I love Utah's O-line. I think it's probably the best individual group in the Big 12. And then right there, Devin Dampierre at quarterback, the transfer. They didn't have an identity last year. They were just waiting for what's his name, the old guy to get healthy. What's his name?
Cam Rising.
Cam Rising.
Wait. How'd you say his name? Dampierre?
Yeah, I like that. I like it.
What'd you say, Dampierre?
Yes, Dampierre.
No, Dampierre. That's his name.
Yeah, that's right. I went 2-1 last week, by the way. The one that I missed historically wrong. I had Virginia Tech because I thought I had the nerve to think that they would fight for Coach Pry.
Fight for Coach Pry. They did not.
I actually put a future on Texas Tech to win the Big 12 and make the CFP. They spent so much money in this offseason. That is an impactful injury. But here's one thing, if you want to poke holes, they have the softest schedule so far in the country. They haven't played anybody. And this is a team that probably will get battle tested over time and will still figure in this Big 12, but that is a different animal. Big Newton's going to be out there. Shout out Chris Felica. I lean Utah in this game, but I would be encouraged by how I was surprised at how tight this line was.
Yeah, Texas Tech's brought a lot of talent in the portal. This is their Super Bowl. So if they don't lose this one, there's gonna be a lot of questions asked by that Matador collective, one of the best collectives in college sports. But I do have to say, I looked this up here. So the origin of the name Dampierre, it originates from Norman French, and when the Normans of France invaded England, they brought the name, which means Lord Peter, Saint Peter, from the old French term dam, and then Pierre, which is Peter. So Dampierre. Wow. But when they went to England, they sort of, appropriated the name, ruined it with this peer situation. Dampierre. You see it right there. It's actually Dampierre. I'm taking it back to its roots in Norman French. So, shout out to the Normans. I'm not going to let the English take that name away from you guys.
You remember when Big Diesel called Eric Dampierre Erica Dampierre?
I do remember that. Wait, where'd Mike go? There he is. Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. Looking like you were looking like the guy from Home Improvement. Remember that guy, the neighbor? No, not that guy, the neighbor.
Yeah.
Wilson.
Wilson. Yeah. Always showed him from here. You and I agree on this Auburn game. Jackson Arnold revenge game. This is the first time that Auburn has been ranked since they had Bo Nix at quarterback. I think that there's always a dumb one for Brent Venables. I love this offensive coordinator. I love what they did in the portal. John Mateer, many would argue, is the best player in the nation right now. Some would argue best quarterback. You might get some pushback down here in South Florida on that debate. But Auburn, remember this game last year? We picked this game last year, and I had Auburn in this game when it was at Auburn, and they invented new ways to lose. It has to happen for Hugh Freeze this year. I wasn't so privy to what a physical runner Jackson Arnold is. I like this Auburn team. You want to talk about a team that spent money. Now, both these programs have. I think this game's going to be tight, and I'm going to take the points right there with you there, D-Money. Great pick.
So we got here on a serious note from Mike Jeezy. How concerned should we be with Shannon Dawson keeps getting brought up with VTech? I don't know. I mean, I really don't have any info on that. Mark Rick said, don't leave a great OC job for a good head coaching job or worse. And I think VTech right now is in that good to worse category. They got a lot of work to do. I think they need a recruiter.
All right. So I've done some reporting on this. Shannon Dawson has turned down head coaching jobs to stick around with Miami. They just haven't been of the tier of Virginia Tech. Had Virginia Tech come around last year, maybe we have a different offensive coordinator. He's looking from that's kind of like the floor. And this situation at Virginia Tech isn't necessarily a bad one. They don't have high academic standards. They have a market that is attractive. They have a program that is attractive. When we do get to mega conference and Super League region, they're going to be a program that's going to be looked at. I've heard interesting cases as to why this is a good job. Everyone in Miami is very comfortable saying that is a bad job. I'm not so sure. There are some benefits there. They have some people that are very interested in winning. I think that they're going to take the right approach with this hire. They're not going to do the desperate thing that makes all the fans happy. They've apparently told people that have snooped around they'd like Michael Vick to get more experience. They want to be sure that it is a good hire, a good experience hire. Shannon Dawson does not necessarily fit that bill. It would be Shannon Dawson's first time in a job like this. I think they're looking for somebody a little bit more seasoned that can still make a splash. But I would be worried about Shannon Dawson taking the head coach. He's like any coach that enters that profession. With respect to Mark Rick, guys like Shannon Dawson don't get into the business to not be a head coach one day, even if they're not even so sure of their skill set. It just takes them to a different tier. Their agents won't allow them to be an OC the rest of their lives.
I mean, Mark Rick, to be fair, obviously he became a head coach, but how long was he at Florida State as the OC? He was there for 6 years.
Yeah,
so
the game's changed.
But look, to his point, he said, don't leave a great OC job for just a good or worse head coach job. His first head coach job was University of Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously even though he kind of helped elevate that program, different level of upside than than Virginia Tech on paper. So comments about Mateer here in the chat. I think Mateer super fun to watch, which I think is inflating a little bit here. We love Mateer. We think he's really good, but I think he's going to be more up and down than people think with that schedule, which is one of the reasons why I picked Auburn. I just think Auburn in the portal did some real damage. Jackson Arnold's going to be super motivated, very similar player to Mateer. Their roles have kind of flipped. Arnold was the 5-star dual threat quarterback. They were in the same district in high school in Texas. He was the 5-star. Mateer was the nobody. Now Mateer is replacing him at Oklahoma. Arnold, not the hot commodity he once was. So I see a big Jackson Arnold game. I think he's going to run for a ton of yards, and I think they're going to get this one done. So we're on the same page with that one. Nebraska. So this one to me was kind of a gut. I feel Nebraska's been trying to get over the hump. Matt Rule usually gets the programs he coaches, at least at the college level, over the hump at this stage of his career. I think this year is the year where his programs have traditionally made that leap. It's a home game. Everybody's watching. I'm not a huge believer in Michigan this year. I think Underwood's going to be real good. He showed a lot of great flashes last week, but I think Nebraska's got, I think it's their moment, and I think Nebraska gets this one done. This could burn me. I don't feel great about it, but I feel that, I don't know. I feel that in my gut.
I think we'll look back at that Michigan-Oklahoma game and say maybe that game wasn't as big in the grand scheme of things by the end of the season. I agree. John Mateer probably shouldn't be the leading rusher. They didn't spend that kind of money on Jaden, not for him to be the leading rusher there. But look, John Mateer is certainly, if this turns into Jackson Arnold versus John Mateer game, John Mateer, in terms of a battle of will and the things that he can do and just a competitive nature, I'd like him there a little bit more. I'm not even saying Oklahoma's going to lose this game, but I just think that's too many points there. I agree with you on Nebraska. It's just more of a gut feel thing. They have been in this spot, though, before. Matt Rule last year, maybe it wasn't the time, and maybe this year is the year. But Matt Rule has disappointed in this spot with Nebraska from time to time. So very curious to see if Bryce Underwood does go into Lincoln, Nebraska and pulls this out, then I think he's probably going to turn himself into a quarterback that is worth every bit of what he's being paid and what's been reported out there, because that is really impressive what he did last week. I understand we want to poo-poo the opponent, but this is a big spot for a very young quarterback.
Yeah, then you got Notre Dame there. I mean, that's a big number. What are you feeling here?
It's really a fade Purdue situation. Notre Dame is very confusing to me. I believe them to be good. They've lost two games to top 10 teams by combined 4 points. I still hold out hope that this team can run the table, and that win will look very good for Miami come the end of the season. If Notre Dame finishes the season with just 2 losses, hell, they might be able to afford 3 losses given their schedule if the other teams like Miami and Texas A&M continue to win. I just think that this is a pissed off Notre Dame team with a good quarterback. Look, there was a story published out there that CJ Carr is tipping plays between run and pass. That's what he looks like, tipping plays. They know if it's a run or pass, and he's still putting up 40 points against an SEC defense in Texas A&M. I just think that they're going to take out a lot of frustration on a Purdue team that probably has it coming here. We mentioned the Auburn game. We agree there. And Tennessee, this is a fade the opponent situation again in UAB, not well coached. I think Tennessee is pissed off. I think that was a big building block. I like the quarterback play from Aguilar and how he puts the ball at least in positions for his wide receivers to make plays. That's what a lot of Tennessee fans were begging Nico to do, who had a little bit more of a conservative approach and wouldn't necessarily air it out despite the big NIL. I think Tennessee has a lot of room for encouragement. Whether or not Georgia ends up being that good, time will tell. But a really impressive game from both teams there. And I think Tennessee takes out their frustrations on the opponent, not unlike Notre Dame here. But for me, you and I are aligned. While the game day crew is at Coral Gables this week, I think the most interesting game from a who are these guys really perspective is Auburn, Oklahoma. I think the winner of that will have like a real say in conference play over at the SEC.
Sergio Sanchez giving you some flowers here. Says you were the first to say Notre Dame would not be a double-digit win team this season. No way they're going 10-0 to finish 10-2.
Yeah, I mean that Arkansas Notre Dame game now all of a sudden, like we looked at their schedule and I'm like, people think that if they get past this Miami game, it's all smooth sailing. I did respect the opponents a little bit more, and then I saw them hang with what I believe to be a good Miami team, and I'm totally confused. Now that could have been a 3-score game. Miami let Notre Dame creep back into it. I think if they play that game 10 times, Miami wins that game 8 out of 10, and some of the games look ugly. But that being said, let's not forget what that felt like. People were nervous. There were hearts and throats. We had a 45-plus yard kick that had to be made for Miami to not have an epic letdown against a battle-tested team. And again, Marcus Freeman teams at Notre Dame, for whatever reason, really seem to struggle out the gates. And they've done so at least this year with quality opponents instead of the NIUs of the world.
Appreciate you as always, Mo. Pack the Rock Canes fans. So again, Mo, another fan of electric juice. And, the real electric juice, if you think about it, is right here. It's that BUZZN. So if you're in South Florida, you want to go to the top liquor store in South Florida, Big Daddy's, and grab yourself some real THC-infused seltzer. Get a BUZZN, BUZZN. DrinkBuzzN.com if you're out of state. That's drinkBUZZN.com. First 50 gets you 50% off. And you can choose your chill. These guys, I got to say, Pete, the way when you're on, you're dropping slogan after slogan after slogan. That's what BUZZN was doing when they did this. You got choose your chill, 3 flavors, 1 variety pack, 0 hangovers. I like that one. I like this one too. All bubbles, no troubles. The perfect refresher for those who know how to unwind right, which I believe I do. This one right here, all hang, no hangover. And you got real fruit juices. It's lab tested, right? But it's not fake. It's real fruit juices. So you got the combination of lab tested, but it's not artificial. It's real fruit juice. And then here, right here, bubbles with benefits. Subscribe and save 20%. You get free shipping over $99. So load up if you're out of state and just get as much BUZZN as you need. Carry you through the winter here. I'm looking at the back of the can. I had an idea, Mike. This says sweetness provided by real fruit juice. No high fructose corn syrup here. So you don't have to worry about high fructose corn syrup with the BUZZN. But
man, I hate that. I hate high fructose corn syrup. I can't stand it.
I was going to try to zag and say, BUZZN will not give you that. So BUZZN's going to take care of you in that front. But somebody should probably open a store where they just sell all the stuff that's getting taken out, kind of zigging where they're zagging. They got gluten, like by the pound. They got high fructose corn syrup, like dressed up. You could put like sprinkles on it, something to make it just nice. But that's the base, is the high fructose corn syrup. And it's going to be kind of an edgy spot as Pete drops off. We didn't get a buy from Petey. He probably didn't realize he was late. So he had to go. Pete's actually doing a spot with Omaha Productions, doing a national college basketball spot. So he's doing big things. So
I think I want to live in an era where our generation's prohibition is like Mexican Coca-Cola. No, like this kind of appeals to me. Let's making these rarer and rarer as we go on this whole health kick, and where I can just get just intravenously some red food dye.
Yeah, red fruit dye. My kid knows about this stuff, man. It's got mainstream. He's always asked me about red dye. I don't know what the hell I still don't know what any of this stuff is, but
they have like nuclear hot blue Takis, and I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that's not good for you. And I can't wait to have one.
What is gluten? Because that's one we might have talked about this before. I still do. I'm here. I do not understand what
doesn't exist. It's like birds, not a real thing.
Seed oil by the gallon for Phil L.
Picture. Dr. Doom.
You could do it kind of like a speakeasy. You know what I mean? Like you could have the whole. People do that. By the way, how corny is every single like modern place coming out? Just these Brooklyn knockoff places are like fake speakeasies. Like alcohol's not legal. Tired of those places. You know what I'm talking about?
Dude, I had somebody ripping a vape one time tell me that seed oil was bad for me. I'm like, what are we doing?
Look, I honestly don't know. I just know if we do a little like a prohibition vibe, which again, everybody does prohibition vibes in like every single place, like those every place I feel the prohibition vibe, like the speakeasy vibe. The menu has the name of like, I don't know, chips or like hash browns, something not even fancy. And there's no period in the price, which to me is the red flag of all red flags. Tell me the price. There's no period and like a 99 cents. You know what I mean? Or like a 00, like you get a Hooters. Just the name, the number, and no period. That's a red flag. And then, like they got basil on everything. Just everything's got basil on it. So I feel it came from Brooklyn. It's infested and these fake speakeasies. Let's get a real speakeasy with stuff that actually is banned, like gluten, fructose, seed oil, paper. What we got? Paper, plastic straws. Let's
Mhm.
get some stuff in there, and let's let's really live on the edge a little bit.
I'm with you. Let's see your P&Ls drop. Let's get some capital investments and work on this. I do like this idea.
Gluten is a type of protein found in wheat, barley, rye, and foods made from them. Isn't this what started like the whole explosion of population in the world? Was when we started making wheat? That sounds good,
dude. I'm old enough to remember when wheat bread was good for you. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
are we a conservative podcast now? What is?
I don't even know which side this is on.
I don't know.
I'm trying to zig. I'm just trying to zig.
We are quite literally uniting the country right now in being confused as to what gluten is. I don't know what it is.
We got the McRib out there. We'll have the McRib in the restaurant. Let's
I love that. I love it when it comes back.
Does Las Rosas have a basement?
No, but the building was built in 1925, so you would think. But if any building did, no.
What did it used to be?
Oh man, it used to be Las Rosas before it was Las Rosas. It was it's got some history. I can offline, but it was something very interesting.
I know it's been a journey with the place. That's how you found it. But
I do have a verified report of what it was once.
It was like a brothel or something?
Well, that took a lot of the surprise out of it.
Oh, you're gonna surprise me with it?
I was gonna back channel that. I mean, that's been rumored. I don't know. I'll put Pablo Torre on it.
You can't say brothel
I don't want
to say brothel in the Bible.
I don't want to disparage my own place if I don't know it to 100% be true.
It's not disparaging. It's a history. Like there's not that many places that are from the 1920s.
Does it make it cooler if I say it was a brothel? It adds to the lore. All right, 100%. It was a brothel.
You should have pictures of the spot.
Yeah,
or at least have AI make them.
In the 1920s. It was a brothel. Let's just go with that. More lore for Las Rosas.
I wonder what the decor was in these 1920s brothel. I wonder if they had the menus with the no periods or what they had going on. The very curated indie jazz playlist going on at these brothels.
I can't imagine that place without a touch tunes. It just boggles the mind.
Scuba Steve asking, what diet do you stick to? No meat, right? Yeah, no meat. I'll eat fish sometimes. Way too many pita chips. That's the downfall. You got pita chips in your house? Those Stacy's.
They have gluten in them. They have gluten.
Do they really?
Yeah, they got it, right? It's derived from wheat, right?
That's true. Yeah, I'm slamming those things. Shout out to gluten. All right, so Pete had all the graphics ready. Let's see if I can find it. Now I'm producing. Holy moly. What are we going to do here without Pete? That's what we get. We wasted too much time on here we go. I got the graphics here. All right, so let's do it. I'm producing. We wasted a lot of time on prison inseminations, and we lost Pete's producing skills because we ran out of clock. But I got this covered. We're in good shape. So tell me, Mike, where do you want to start? Wrestler of the week or song of the week? You're kicking this off.
Let's go with song of the week. And D-Money, I'm borrowing a page from your book here. I'm going with Ghostface Killer, Raekwon, and Capadonna's Daytona 500. Daytona 500, very on brand for your motorsports fan, Mike Ryan over here. Wu-Tang Clan, very on brand for you. This song with the sample, the intro, 1996. What a year for hip-hop. This song, I revisited it. It wasn't something that I was listening to at the time. I was more of a Puff Daddy and the Family type of guy back then, and Busta Rhymes and whatever turned on the box and BET and MTV. This wasn't necessarily super radio friendly. You weren't hearing it on Power 96. You would go to an older friend's car and they'd have the Wu-Tang album. They weren't necessarily playing Ghostface's Iron Man. So this is a song that I found later in life. And this song came up on my algo a couple of weeks ago, and I saved it to my library. I'm like, man, how did I miss this song? How is this not one of my all-time faves? So, wanted to tip the hat to D-Money, and certainly I know Filete loves this song. This has got to be a song that Champion listens to at least twice a week. So I wanted to give something for the champions of the world. Daytona 500 by Ghostface is my song of the week.
Cloudfleet Creation saying, love this part of the show, Hidden Gem. Cloudfleet, check out the playlist. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. Let's update this because we did this one fast. So we got to update. Make sure you update the playlist, Mike. Get your songs on there. I'll do the rest on Spotify. But as you see on the cover here, they're buying some Clark Wallabies. Nice suede shoe. I used to have these shoes in college. The only problem with these shoes, they were incredible English shoe, very stylish, very cool. The problem with the Clark Wallows is they get very dirty, very dirty. So Ghost has a lot of lyrics, not in this song, about stepping in puddles and people laughing, and then having kind of very violent thoughts towards the people laughing at him for stepping in the puddle with the new Wallows. I feel the same way. I understood that lyric once I got the shoes, because they do take a beating. But this song right here, unbelievable song. 3 of my favorites. I mean, these are my 3 favorites, probably Wu-Tang, Ghostface, Raekwon, Capadonna, because of the way they use, just talk about Pete with his word use, man. These guys right here have the word choice. It's not just about how many syllables can you put in. It's the word choice. These guys are the best. Raekwon in this one is outstanding. Corolla Motorola holder. Unbelievable line, and there was more where that came from. So shout out to you for this choice. I love it. It's a summer album. It's still hot, so I can still play this. This is definitely the summer album right here. Iron Man, unbelievable. Daytona 500, fast beat too. It's like a fast beat kind of song. The sample's fast, so great choice. Shout out to this trio, unbelievable artist.
What's your song of the week, D-Money?
So we do the Gainesville thing, right? So a lot of people go to Tom Petty. Fine. But if you like that kind of music, which I do, the Eagles are the classic, just kind of like not quite rocking, but, enough rock to qualify for Big 106, right? That lane, I'd put Tom Petty in the same category. You don't really get loose to Tom Petty. He doesn't get you too fired up, at least not me. I was fired up last year when they played it during a blowout victory at the Swamp. But, it's not necessarily hype music, which the Eagles is not either. But in that genre, I like the Eagles. And why for Gainesville if it's not Tom Petty? Bernie Leadon and Tom Fingers Felder are both, like, I think it's Tom Felder. Felder, what's his name? I'll figure it out. Anyways, yeah, Don Felder, Bernie Leadon, both from Gainesville, both guitarists for the Eagles. There's Bernie Leadon right there. Felder came in and added, I think it was already in by this period in 1972, but great song with that Gainesville tie. 2 members of the Eagles from Gainesville. By the way, Hotel California recorded in Miami, mixed in Coconut Grove. That's where they were living when they made it. So all the California stuff was actually done here in the free state of Florida, in the classic swamp, those swamp vibes. That's why it's kind of islandy. You don't get those islandy vibes in California. You know what I mean? You need a little island flavor, which is what you have with that song, which, by the way,
or cocaine. Or cocaine.
A lot of that. But that riff came from Felder, Felder actually was the one that started that song, who comes from Gainesville, Florida. And of course, being a decent man, left that area immediately once he had the chance and never came back. So song choice, Peaceful, Easy Feeling by the Eagles. For me, this one, it's not just a great Eagles song, but very interesting lyrics. And as I interpret the song, Mike, I don't know how familiar you are with the Eagles catalog. This is on the greatest hits, which is in every single, parents' house of our era. The lyrics of this song is actually about a peaceful, easy feeling, because the person is so scarred from life and experienced in life that they don't get too high in love. So enjoying this love affair, but I'm not going to get too high that you can let me down, because I'm already standing on the ground. So in this present moment, I want to say I'm like that and my feet are on the ground, but I hear the people talking about us being the number 1 team in the country. I understand that we potentially could be, a national championship contending type operation. So my feet are kind of leaving the ground a little bit, and it's a tough situation. I'm not sure where I'm at, but this song right here will come through, whether we're sad after the game or more likely when we're just happy. And so we're coming down from the hype, leaving Las Rosas at 6 a.m., play some Peaceful, Easy Feeling by the Eagles.
It'll certainly end up on the jukebox if we TCB against the Florida Gators on Saturday. I'll lead off the wrestler of the week. This tweet was actually shared in our wrestling chat. Apparently, Don Callis, a great manager for All Elite Wrestling, is a Miami Hurricanes guy. He put a tweet out that said, "Many college football experts agree Miami Hurricanes head coach Mario Cristobal has patterned his team approach after the Don Callis family, #GoCanes, hashtag Don Callis family, hashtag postgame Pete, hashtag Carpaccio Carfuffle. So you and I actually had this debate. It's funny enough, we were talking about Don Callis glowingly in our wrestling chat a couple of weeks ago before we found out he was a Canes fan. It would seem from that tweet, anytime you hashtag Carpaccio Kerfuffle and go Canes, that this person might be a Miami Hurricanes fan. But Don Callis, very low key, given the era he's operating in, especially when managers are more diluted than ever. But following the Bobby Heenan, having a whole family approach, elevating the guys that he's working with, not taking shine off of it, elevating a program, great promo, great manager, great heel, good when he puts on the headsets to do the heel work on the announce booth. Don Callis, certainly of the modern era, is laying stake to greatest manager, low-key ever? Possibly. It's possible. He's laying out. I know there's some Bobby Heenan lifers out there. Look, he's the GOAT. But in the modern era, D-Money, I don't think we've had a manager quite as good as Don Callis. He's doing incredible work at AEW. He's got the scar on his head, courtesy of Jon Moxley and that screwdriver. He's got incredible programs, and he's elevating guys. I think Don Callis is a GOAT manager and a great wrestling mind.
Wow. I very low key. The lowest of keys, but you're there. Not, some people can't hear those very distant keys, but you have the ear to, I wouldn't say the streets, below the streets where this is percolating here. Callis, look, what he did with this tweet, I love. Now, there was immediately a criticism right here from Nunn saying, so the Don Callis family is bad at clock management. Which,
we've earned that. We've earned it. We got to keep it moving.
Got to change the narrative. Almost 1,400 on. I don't know if I don't know where this comes from with Don Callis. I don't think I'm looking up where he's from here. Let's see where Don Callis is from.
Well, we all know that Dan Lambert was a great AEW manager in his own right. And Dan Lambert, obviously great Kane, helpful to the cause. So maybe I know Tony Khan has gone to a Miami Hurricanes game at the behest and invitation of Dan Lambert. So maybe Mr. Lambert was spreading that Miami Hurricanes propaganda. But either way, it appears that Don Callis knows ball. And he's recognizing that it's starting to look a certain way in Coral Gables.
I was all over you for that text, which was before this tweet. But you're on. Look, you're 6-0 right now. You got a little bit of the vision right now. So we got to respect it. So
who's a better manager right now?
Paul Heyman this guy's not even the best bald guy that wears a suit manager, but he's doing a good job.
You're right. I'm sorry. He's God tier. You're right. And he's a modern era, and it really dismantles a lot of my arguments for Don Callis. Paul Heyman aside, manager demigod, we know that. Who's the best right now?
No, now we're talking. I think because there really aren't good managers. The NXT's been trying to make managers, they don't work. AEW's been trying to have some managers, they don't work. I thought Lambert was great. He wasn't really a manager, but he was great. He had great promos when he was rolling. But Callis, you know what? I'm giving it to you. Take Kamen out, and obviously modern. So we're losing Cornette, we're losing Heenan, we're losing Slick, we're losing. I don't know if you consider Valet's managers, but
Sensational Sherry was a manager. Yeah, she was a manager.
Yeah, so she would be, to me, up there with all the top guys, including Heyman, because she bumps better than Heyman, better worker. But I you know what? So, Shaka, I'm agreeing with you. I got to agree with you on this one. You know what? It's that feeling you always talk about admitting when you're wrong. I haven't experienced that one in a while, so it's liberating feeling.
It is. Hopefully we can all grow together and do this more often. I appreciate this. But all it took was Don Callis being a Miami Hurricanes homer. If he never sends that tweet, we never find consensus here. So maybe we just need the Hurricanes to be fully back, and then we can heal a divided nation.
Love it. Wow. Many college football experts agree. All right. So I'm going here with my wrestler of the week. And I might have used this guy already, but I just wanted to make a specific point here because I think I've used this guy probably 14 times. Jake the Snake Roberts, we all know. Which Pete's not there for his joke with the Jake the Snake Plumber. Now he understands the origins.
Jake the Snake Plumber.
You love that one. Great pictures by Pete. Pete really is a great producer, man, especially on this show. He takes it to another level. But Yeah, so Jake the Snake, look, we talked about him a bunch. Extremely authentic, very believable, second generation, had a crazy family life. Probably the biggest upset that this guy's alive of all wrestlers is Jake the Snake, between substance abuse, between, what you hear about with his family and his upbringing. And it's horrible. He made it through, seems to be doing well, looks pretty much the same. He looked so old when he was young. He looks the same. He just doesn't have hair. He didn't have hair back then either, just as long in the back. So
shout out to Diamond Dallas Page. God knows how much he's been extending people's lives by getting them to be active. But Jake the Snake, ahead of his time, didn't necessarily have the body type D money, but incredible programs. This dude was downright scary in the 90s as a heel. Sinister, scary dad energy too. Like you would go over your friend's house and he would have the dad with the mustache and the mullet, and you're gonna be like terrified of the guy. That's
not overly jacked.
No, not overly jacked, but he would revel in killing you if he had the opportunity.
Look at I had to pull up this quote because, in fact, let me get this quote here on the split screen. As I looked at IMDb for a quote from a little movie called WrestleMania 6, Jake Roberts, $1 Million Man, the Mucka Avarice promo, one of the most famous promos in wrestling history. Just very serious delivery, talking about DiBiase just not caring for the less fortunate. A classic theme. You can go back to the Bible. You can go back past that. It's been around for a long, long time. Jake the Snake says, these people were far less fortunate than you. People who could use your money for essentials. And what did you do? You made fun of them. This is when you make people grovel for money and do tricks for money. You humbled them and you humiliated them. Well, now it's my turn. I'm going to make you beg DiBiase. You're going to get down on your hands and knees. You'll be the one that's humbled. You'll be the one who's humiliated. And this time you will be the one that grovels for the money. And how appropriate that the money that you grovel for is your very own. A victim of your own greed, wallowing in the muck of avarice. And Gene Okerlund, Longfellow couldn't have said it better. Not sure who that Longfellow is, but I'm sure he is slick with the pen. So, Pete's wordsmithing just inspired me to pick that one up, because the muck of avarice, that right there, classic themes, but the delivery was just absolutely outstanding. So I had to do that one. But before we get off Jake the Snake, and the chat's rolling right now, I got a lot of Kevin Sullivan fans. I know you've had Kevin Sullivan as your wrestler of the week. Someone who your mom thought was, in fact, a true Satanist, I believe.
Satanist, yeah. A lot of people in South Florida were convinced that Kevin Sullivan was indeed the devil reincarnated.
Abraham Auguste, didn't Jake the Snake have that situation where he had a wrestler get bit by a poisonous snake with the girl crying? Was that Macho Man?
Macho Man, defanged. It was still like, it holds up. Two great moments.
Abraham's getting worked into his 40s.
John Tenta also didn't kill Damien for real. That's not something that happened.
Adam Clark, my guy, says Jake the Snake is also partially responsible for the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the promo that started it all. The best line of that promo that is never discussed is because Jake the Snake was a recovering alcoholic who had found Jesus at that point.
That's a storyline too, because he had it. I remember watching Praise the Lord in TBN, and Jake the Snake Roberts was over there. I'm like, this is low even for Vince, who would then later on wrestle God and defeat him.
Listen, great storyline because it led to this promo. But then the line of the all-time Stone Cold, he's like, why don't you go grab a bottle of Old Thunderbird and find some of that courage that you had in your prime? Great line. So like Texas redneck, amazing line. Shout out to obviously Stone Cold, but Jake the Snake brought it out of him. There was a mutual respect there. Stone Cold loved the legends. But the reason this came to my brain as we pick in this wrestler of the week is because my wife's out of town. She is the president or she's being inaugurated as president statewide of ABA behavioral therapy. Big, if you know anyone who's autistic, ABA is the treatment for autism. She's the president of the whole state while I'm out here dressing like Elvis and Luis Miguel on podcasts and talking about Jake the Snake plumber here. But she's out of town, so I got the house to myself. So when I've still the kids, my mother-in-law is holding it down. So when you have the house to yourself, am I going to go out? Am I going to go out to Las Rosas by myself? Am I going to go out on the town? No, I'm not. I'm going to be in my room watching the Jake the Snake versus Rick Martel blindfold match, which to me, one of the most underrated matches of all time. Sprayed in the eye by arrogance, Rick Martel's cologne. He's been your wrestler of the week in the past. Couldn't use his eyes, so they had a blindfold match. And Jake the Snake had a point to where the wrestler was, where Martel was, and had the crowd kind of say hot and cold. Great gimmick, great angle, great execution. I love this match as a kid. I hope it holds up now as I watch it as a 40-year-old man trying to be the pillar of a community drinking BUZZN. So I don't know what your thoughts are there.
Don't forget, spin the wheel, make the deal. Jake the Snake Roberts, a very brilliant wrestling mind that could make people watching a blindfold match be on the edge of their seats and get the crowd. He knew how to work the crowd quite well. Really good baby face, extraordinary heel. Wish he had more run as a heel. Didn't quite fit the physiques of the time. Probably would have been able to knock a program with Hulk Hogan out of the park if he had the opportunity to work as a heel. D-Money, I got to go. I got to get Shock of All Shocks, another tattoo. But I will be seeing you around Coral Gables and Hard Rock Stadium. Big time Go Canes here. Make me say electric juice. You want it to be a thing. Crowd has to respond in kind. Go Canes.
The tattoo will look a certain way. Good luck, my friend. Be good. All right, fellas, we're done. And ladies, we're out of here. Listen to the man right there. Bring that electric juice to the stadium. Go Canes.